It's just a nice temperature for me. Aye. Yeah, that should be us on now.
Hello and welcome to episode 85 of Celtic Rumours TV, the Bawz and Bovril podcast with your host Mark and myself Paul. Join us tonight. We have John, United Ireland, from our forum page www.celticrumours.co.uk. This is John's first appearance. If any of our new subscribers don't know, John used to come on to us regularly at the start of the season, but due to technical difficulties in his laptop, he hasn't come on. But I think Mark will say to you that we're delighted to have John back with us on tonight, as he gives us a good intake of his point of view of Celtic. Also join us tonight, we have another friend to the podcast, Joonas. Joonas is from Dundee, who supports Dundee United. And I think it's only fitting that we bring Joonas on tonight because Dundee United had a chance to secure the league for Celtic today. We're actually playing Dundee United on Wednesday. And not only does Joonas give us a different view of Scottish football, he says it as it is. It's not just Celtic fans moaning about referees. It's across the whole SPL and Joonas. It's a good
Good.
in
It's
in
good
that.
to get Joonas on for like a round up of the full league, Paul, rather than just
Exactly,
constantly Celtic into it.
exactly. On tonight's show, we look at yesterday's 4-1 victory over Hearts and now practically confirms Celtic as champions elect of the Scottish League. Uh, I done up a piece of the list of games that I thought were vital wins for Celtic winning the league this season. We looked through from staggering stats of Kyogo since he signed for Celtic. Jonas will give his thoughts on Celtic and how he thinks we've done throughout the season. We also want Jonas to talk about Dundee United's final push in securing European football for his club uh, at the end of the season. And we're also going to look ahead to Wednesday's party celebrations on Connacht Mark. No matter what the score is, it's going to be a party celebration in Dundee against Dundee United on Wednesday. Firstly, I'll hand off to Mark for a few shout outs.
Thanks very much, Paul. Just the usual shout, excuse me, usual shout outs for the guys in the forum. Tim Malloy, Rich and his family, Campsy boy, we new addition in that.
Campsy baby.
Campsy baby, four stain two when it was born. Guys in the chat there, Jabber, evening mate. Brian's in as well. Good to see you, Stubbsy. Nice to see you in as well, mate. That's just the usual, Paul. We're still at 550 subscribers, so the figures are moving up. We're slowly getting there, so thanks to everybody.
Nice email off them today, Mark.
Viewers, that's us. What was it, Paul? Over 5,000 viewers now or something, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's I'm quite chuffed about that as well. It shows you again, Paul. We're going in the right track to it. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So just if you're not subscribed, please do so. Hit the like button, and if you know how as well, leave a comment in the bottom. Plus as well, the links to everything, our forum, our Discord, Twitter and everything, they're in the description box below as well. So feel free to come and join in the forum or go on the Discord. I'm not on it that often, but there's always guys hanging about there talking garbage, and you'll get a laugh off a drunk Welshie on there as well.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. If you can find...
Just to advertise it for where it is, Paul, you know what I mean?
You bring the lads on there and I'll...
Oh, there's somebody just there, Paul. Pauline McLean, that's a new 551. Thanks very much, Pauline, that's appreciated. Welcome aboard.
So Celtic took another step towards securing the league title, needing just 1 point from their final 2 remaining games. And with a superior goal difference of plus 20 and Arsenal advantage. After Hearts took an early lead, Rangers fans were actually celebrating for a whole of 20 minutes until Marina levelled on 30 minutes. Kyogo extended lead on 37 minutes, and in the second half, goals from O'Reilly on the 69th and Giakoumakis on the 90th. The game ended 4-1 to Celtic, and I want to put in this piece, Mark, about Craig Gordon, because he was a good goalkeeper for Celtic and a lot of fans liked him. I liked him myself when he played with us. But he has some dislike towards Celtic. Anytime we play Hearts, always mourning, just always thinking. I think he's forgetting that Celtic Football Club resurrected his career. He won league titles with us. He won cups with us. He played in Champions League football with us. His Scottish career as an international goalkeeper got back in track. Like I think he has a very short memory, Mark, as where he came from.
But it was a moaning face get when he was with us as well, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that's the type of guy and type of player that he's been. It's not. I've seen a few folk getting on about it on Twitter and things like that, but I don't really. I mean, he's a professional. He's a long in the tooth, well experienced professional, Paul. It just is what it is, really, for me.
Oh, he bugged me yesterday. When you see it all over Twitter, and when Kyogo's header was clearly across the line, Do you know what I mean? Clearly across like, and he's saying, "No way, no way." You know, that just bugged me.
But any keeper's going to do that.
Mhm.
I mean, if you had 10 times out of 10, Paul, with fat ball, you were a keeper, Paul. You saying the fact time to you, you would have just done that. All right, fair enough, ref, fair enough, linesman. It was in.
I would have actually reacted worse.
But exactly, any keeper worth their salt's going to claim that they've kept that out. Really, let's be honest about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, look, we're just pissed off with Craig Gordon, Mark, right? And we just say we're pissed off.
Right,
Okay.
I'll just agree with you then, right?
You're too nice. Man. You're too nice. You know. No, I just think, Mark, that you know, maybe it's just my opinion, like, but I think he has a biff in his shoulders of the way he left Celtic, you know, and how that broke down. You know, I just think he
Well,
was.
you might have something there,
Some,
aye.
yeah, Mark, do you get me?
You
know?
maybe have something in that. I don't think he maybe. Well, I think he wanted to leave because he knew that he was the number one keeper. So that's basically what it was. So,
But Celtic didn't tell him, Mark. Like there's confusion here. Like Celtic, I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, we should have kept Craig on," but Celtic actually did want to keep Craig on.
aye. But
You
he
know,
wasn't willing to be a backup keeper.
exactly. You know, and you can understand that too from a keeper as well, Mark.
Especially at that age, Paul.
Yeah,
Because he knows himself, he still had a good couple of seasons in him playing every week. He's proved that for Hearts for the last couple of years for he left us. So at that age, you're getting to the end of your career, Paul. You want to play every week if you can, and he felt that he could, and he did. So, I mean, I never actually liked Craig Gordon much, Paul, you know that. But fair play to him, he's played at a top level in Scotland for a long, long time, a lot longer than a lot of people thought he would have after his injuries and that as well.
hmm the stats for the game are shots. The Celtic
I'll go and get Joonas in that, Paul, while you read through them, bud, right?
on target. Celtic 12 to Hearts 3. Possession was 65 to 35. Passes were 579 to Hearts 1.6. Accuracy was 83% to their 70%. Fouls committed 17 to Celtic, 8 to Hearts. Yellows none to Celtic, 2 to Hearts. Uh, it was it was a bit of a scare, I think, at the start, Mark. I know you're just trying to get the lads on there, but we were a bit worried when Hearts got the first goal at the 3rd minute.
It was definitely wasn't going. The game wasn't going to plan when that went in, wasn't it? No.
hmm
I mean, it was still the full game was still in front of us. It was a bit of a panic that we went 1-0 down, Paul. But after say the first 10 minutes or that, I thought we could just. With a dodgy first 10-15 minutes, Paul. After that, I thought we controlled the game and always looked as if we were going to win quite comfortably. I just think that you there, Joonas.
Hi, I'm here.
Aye.
Lads,
Thanks very much for coming on again, Joonas.
no, cheers for having us, gents. Appreciate it.
No bother.
Just before we talk about the Hearts game, once we talk about Dundee's, hopefully their trip that they'll get in Europe, but it wasn't the result you wanted today, considering how far you pushed kind of Rangers throughout the season in games.
We were just never at the races today. We just seemed to turn up defeated before we even started today. It was probably the poorest that we've been in a while, to be honest, today. Still, the first goal, the penalty came from a move where there was an offside, though. So, like, the game should have been stopped. So that an offside goal, and okay, the second goal's poor as well from our point of view, but we never really carried a threat today. So on the balance of that, we never deserved anything out of the game, which I'm annoyed about, to be honest with you. But
That's I noticed, Jonas, and I've seen a lot of Dundee United fans on Twitter, because I actually follow them through yourself as well, and they're not happy the way he kind of rotates his team constantly. It's never consistency. There's always changes in the starting lineup. Do you think that maybe it's affecting you coming into big games now?
yeah, and the team selection today was a wee bit strange. A couple of Scott McMahon's probably been one of our best players the last couple of weeks at fullback, and he was dropped, and then he gave the young Ghanaian boy Kyogo a go up front. And to be fair, he done all right. He wasn't the worst, but it's not the right game to throw someone in for a
Exactly.
debut in 90 minutes. I thought the kid done okay. He was direct, he tried to run at people, make things happen, but it's not the sort of game that you bring an 18-year-old laddie on. He's an impact sub at this stage of his career. You don't give him a start Ibrox, in my opinion. I just think every single team selection, and we have got injuries, their whole centre midfield is basically wiped out, but still, I just think it's too much rotation, in my opinion, at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I just flip back, Joonas, just to Celtic and Hearts from yesterday, and we have a piece for you as well to come in on there about Dundee United. Mark, like conceding the only goal, it just summed up Celtic season that what Ange said all these many months back, like we don't stop, we never stop. You know, that's been the direction of Celtic throughout any game. Maybe the 90th minute when Reed still chasing down the keeper, Giakoumakis, Kyogo, they're still going, the wing backs are still pushing up. Like, it was the perfect example yesterday, Mark, that even though we conceded all, we kept going.
Oh, sorry, Paul. John, are you there now, bud? No, John, I don't know what's happening with John, Paul. Hey, I'll keep trying to get John on. Hey, aye, Paul, just what I was saying earlier. But just after that initial 10-15 minutes, we just get into our rhythm. We just kept playing. We keep playing. That's what we do. We just keep going to. Hey, we get a result. We get something out of the game. I know you're going to go on about like important games. We can use the things like Ralston, the last minute injury time winner, things like that. And as it's just what Ange said, we just keep chasing it. We just keep trying to do what we do to get the result. And that's what they done yesterday again. It's just that, I mean, really, this season we've been a bit of a juggernaut at Celtic Park, haven't we? We have been a bit. I don't want to go overboard in that, but we have been unstoppable, really. You know what I mean? We've had wee blips and no played well, but I mean, what many games is that now? We've been undefeated at home now, Paul.
It's only 30, Mark. It's all season, I think, so far this season. We're in a row, it's 30 games unbeaten. You know?
I mean, you can't. That's why you're champions, Paul, isn't it? That's champions forum. Do you know what I mean?
Like, go on, Joonas, there's one player that he even frightens me. Like, he's after a full season in the J League, and he comes here in January, and he's the prime example of the way Ange wants to play. Is the lad Maeda? He just doesn't stop. I don't know, have you watched him? But if I was the Dundee United defence on Wednesday, I would be scared of this lad running at your defence and even running at Seagrass if he's uncomfortable with the ball in his legs.
Yeah, and the problem we've got is we've got Mulgrew, Edwards and Ross Graham, who are all 6 foot plus, and they're all good centre halves in the sense that they'll head everything away and they can tackle, but none of them can run really. They're not great when having to back off or run towards their own goal. So not just Maeda, more like him obviously because he's constant, but even just the pace that like the front three will cause problems because we're not the
Kyogo, you've a bad it's unreal, like in attacking sense what we have, Joonas, and it's frightening, like, and it's for any team to be facing Celtic and to be facing that, it's frightening.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult, like I say, because at the end of the day, the worst thing in football is to defend against this pace, and we've got plenty of that as well. So it's always going to be difficult, like especially with the forward line with you lads.
And like another thing too, and it was a question I asked Joonas about Tom Coates and his team, but since January, Mark, and since Ange got the players in he's wanted, we've seen a more of a consistent first 11. You know, the back line was rarely touched, and I think we've seen the benefits of that since January, Mark. We saw the benefits that the back line is settled, and even as attacking sense, Mark, he seems to be keeping now regularly with a more selected starting 11, Mark, that Ange does, and it shows it too, Mark. Like, if you have a consistent starting 11, they get used to playing each other more, and it's improving.
Aye, that's the same thing, Paul. It's consistency. Build up that kind of consistency. Players, it builds up the momentum, and things just seem to click. It's part for me a good. We spoke about it with Celtic and that, Paul. the defence, we don't change the defence much, and that's what the basis of the team's built on.
Definitely. I think that's the for me, honest, like people questioned Joe Hart when Celtic signed him because of his last couple of years of his career, but there was no doubt that Joe Hart was still a top keeper, and what he has brought to Celtic in an experience sense is night and day compared to what we had last season with Barkas, Bain, and Hazard. You know, you could see Joe Hart's a top professional. You know.
The thing is as well, like when you look at Hart, like if when you look at his CV, you've obviously had some ability in your career to play at those sort of levels, and sometimes you just get that thing with a player where they just fit a certain club. Like it happens with certain players, like they've maybe been in the wilderness for a couple of years and then they find a club and they settle down there and to play their best football. So it's probably a case with what you boys have got with Hart. And like I say, his ability was never in question. But like I say, everybody has, unless you're a top class, world class player for the majority of your career, everybody will have a couple of seasons where they're maybe not at their best. It's just the way football tends to work, yeah.
It's a bit similar to the Craig Gordon situation, Paul. I mean, Joe Hart could have stayed in England as a number 2, or maybe like at a lower level club get a number 1. He could have went to Italy with Mourinho to be the number 2 or there. So he was kind of he was wrote off with the big teams down in England, so he had to look elsewhere, and that's what kind of similar to what happened with Gordon. When Celtic didn't really want him as their number 1, he had to look at his options.
I think Mark, look, mathematically it's not done yet, you know, and Joonas will say that as well, but for me, Joonas, the league is done. I can't see Celtic drop points now or Rangers scoring 20 goals to outscore us. You know what I mean? Like it's, Jude, in your opinion, Joonas, are Celtic well-deserved winners of this league, do you think?
Well, over the course, they've been the most consistent in the league, and they've won the most games, and they've put together a run when they needed to. They took it, and what they've done as well is they've took advantage of slip ups from the opposition, which is what you've got to do as well. If you're going to win the league and you're tight with another team, you have to capitalise on any sort of slip ups from your opponents, and they've done that, you know.
And that was down to the teams like Dundee United, Mark. You know, like he took 4 points off the Rangers this season, Joonas. I think it's 4 points he took off them.
Yeah, like Aberdeen have took 4 points off. There's a few clubs that have took points off Rangers.
And it's true what Joonas said there, Mark. Like that last season, we failed to capitalise on anything. But this season, even if we were playing before them or after them, there was no slip-ups. You know, there was Celtic knew what they had to do. We concentrated on ourselves, and we didn't let the noise coming from next door get us.
No, I've said that all along, Paul. What other teams are doing doesn't really bother me that much. Just concentrate on what Celtic are doing. Just keep the eyes on what we're doing. Don't, as you're saying, don't listen to all the noise coming from the media and all that kind of nonsense. I mean, we're getting on again, Paul, about the achievement that Angie's done this year. It's that kind of single. I mean, he's a single-minded kind of guy. You can tell that. He says himself he lives and breathes football 24/7, and that's he's going to get that installed in the players as well. Just keep doing what I tell you to do. Keep doing what you're doing, and you'll get your rewards at the end of the season. And they have.
So I've did up a list of some big wins of Celtic over the course of the year. I remember back in September the 21st, Sky Sports Scotland put out a tweet that I actually screenshotted it, and I said I'm actually going to use it because I was saving the right time to use this tweet. The tweet says that Celtic are actually lying 6th in the Scottish Premiership. This is their worst start to the season since 1998. The league already looks over before it even started for the big Aussie in his first season at Celtic. So how things have turned for Celtic, trailing 6 points. back in January. 7 points actually, Mark, back in January, to now lead by 6 points with 2 games to go, and a massive goal difference. And Celtic's first home game of the season gave fans and opposition pundits a taste of what things to come, as Kyogo grabbed a home hat-trick in a game that could have seen the challengers realistically hit double figures. There was a 2-1 against Aberdeen, Celtic's first league away win of the season, and their first since Valentine's Day. Lewis Ferguson's second half equaliser, cancelled out by Kyogo's opener before Jota scored a late winner to kickstart Celtic's lead. There was a 3-1 win against Hibernian. Celtic played their best 45 minutes of the season today, as they blistered a very competitive Hibs side in the first half at Easter Road. The quality of the goals, the chances created, heightened a lot of people's excitement and expectations that Ange could deliver. Ross County 2-1, Anthony Ralston, winner in the last seconds of 6 minutes injury time, rescued a win for the 10-man Celtic as the Stafford was sent off late in the second half. This result sent Celtic to the League Cup final, which is an incredible high. 2-1 against Hearts, which drew Celtic make it 3 wins from 3 after the winter break, with a stunner from Rio Hayate. A nauseous goal from Giakoumakis gave them a comfortable lead. Hearts threw everything at the second half, but there was a newfound steal from the Celtic defence against yourself, Joonas. Lee Babidaz's injury-time winner takes Celtic within 2 points of Rangers, who dropped 2 points themselves in injury-time more in the afternoon, having given the chance to topple Rangers in the upcoming derby. The derby, Celtic absolutely blistered Rangers to go top of the league for the first time on Ange. Rear Hash with 2 strikes. The second, an incredible effort from Abada, and the third goal to kill off as stone dead Rangers from half time. 3-2 against Dundee. Giakoumakis was the hero as he completed the hat-trick in dramatic fashion at Celtic Park. Dundee took an incredible lead before pulling level after Giakoumakis' double before the Greek striker won it and kept Celtic's 3-point lead at the time within 80 minutes winner. Livingston 3-1. Celtic exercised some demons at the Avondale, is it? Stadium, Max, is it?
Almondvale. Almondvale.
They were going to be wins comfortably.
I think.
Penalty eased any fears after they are mentally headed into the final quarter of the season and reflected the fans' confidence. Another derby, Tom Roger, Cam Vickers scored the goals to turn the game on its head. After going behind Ollie to strike at Ibrox after a shaky start, Celtic took control of the game and should have won more comfortably. No way back for Rangers. Key games, Mark, and it's just going to what Joonas has said, like we won games that we looked like dropping points. We won vital derby games. We scored goals in injury time against Dundee United, against Ross County when Ralston got the goal. Like, this is why we are champions, Mark, because of these games, because of the no, we don't give up attitude.
Paul loves his stats here, didn't he, Joonas, man? I bet you fell asleep there.
No, don't worry, mate. I'm just about awake. I set an alarm, but I'm awake. It's all right.
You set an alarm for after your bit there, Paul.
I aim to please.
Well, Paul, see, like the Ralston goal, the derby games are obviously things.
I think that Ralston goal, Mark, was a key goal for Celtic, wasn't this?
Well, Celtic used to be noted for that, Paul. See, when I was a bit younger and things like that, Celtic were always that kind of team. They played for the full 92, 90, whatever. They were always on the go that way. So it was kind of a common thing, but that's the difference, Paul. I mean, although we're a wee bit in front with the points now, but that's the difference when it comes to winning a league. It's they late goals and that gets you over the line when you look back on it. And obviously the wins in the derby are a big part of it up here for us, but I just keep thinking that's just been a great season, Paul. Even for the time, but even the mentality that they've got in the team to play like this already. You know what you're talking about, all these kind of late goals and stuff like that.
yesterday to see every Celtic player, and it's something, Joonas, that we didn't see last season because of there were so many things going wrong at the club last season, under Lee Lennon, staff not wanting to be there, players not wanting to be there, split between the dressing rooms. It's a joy to see, and even yourself, seeing at your club, to see players celebrating at the end of the game, hugging each other, to show that there is continuity between the players and the manager, you know?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I think what happened with you boys, similar to what happened with us during our relegation years, the sort of 2016 till about 2018, the 4 years that we spent in the Championship. Because once a rot sort of sets in at the club from the top, it's like a cancer and sort of grows its way right through everything, and it becomes toxic, and that's what had happened with us. And it's kind of the same with you. You just needed to rip everything out, a fresh start, and then rebuild, and we've kind of done the same. So that, and then, like you say, once you get everybody pulling in the right direction, that's the only way that a club works, because once the cracks start to appear, or there's like a disease sort of starts to grow, then once it starts to it starts to seep into every single part of the club, and that's where things start going wrong.
If there's unhappy players, Joonas, in a club, like, it's going to breed through the whole first team as well. Like, it breeds, and it does. Like, it affects, because you have a group of players then who are maybe loyal to that one player who's in a disagreement, like, so like it does kind of split the whole club, Mark, like what Joonas is saying there.
But they're not sets in. You've got, and see, I mean, Joonas will probably be able to tell you as well. All it takes as well, Joonas, is one bad apple to get in I mean, see, like young players in that, Paul, young players are kind of easily led. If there's an older player maybe in their ear, this manager's this manager's that. When I was playing under so and so, do you know what I mean, all that kind of thing. And once it sets in, Joonas says, it can take a lot of time to kind of weed it out and get things turned around. And Ange's basically done it in months, Paul, again.
I has, like, this, even like last year, Mark, like, we didn't even want to do podcasts after games.
No, you didn't. Paul Spitz, the dummy out of Celtic, don't win and didn't want to do podcasts. You need to coax him out with offers of like sweeties and stuff like that.
That's usually like me, but you need to coax me out the pub, but that's hard. That's easier said than done, Ken.
But this year, Mark, is just, you're excited to see Celtic play again. Do you know what I mean? There's even a buzz watching, even our own forum page, Mark. Do you know what I mean? There's a buzz on that. Like, there's no bickering on it. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's
apart from last night. Apart from last night, but but Paul, just see when everything goes right and comes together like that, it shows you kind of like how good things can be, the feeling amongst fans when they're not arguing and bickering and stuff like that. And players will feed off all that as well when they're on the park. Do you know what I mean? They'll feed off whether it's negative energy or positive energy. Just the full feeling round about Celtic's great, Paul, and as I said in the forum as well. And it's a bit different because the job Ange is to take on, but for me the actual feeling about Celtic right now, Paul, is as good as and really the same kind of level as when Brendan Rodgers came in.
Joonas, we on our forum page there to the podcast, like, we still have a few Celtic fans that would look for anything negative to spoil what's going on at the moment and stuff like that. Like, do you have fans like that in your group as well? Like that, no matter how good you're playing, or if you get a good run of results, that there's always a fan there who will pick up something negative to say just to spoil the mood.
I think it's I think you get that in every single fan base around the world. You could be winning the quadruple every season, the Champions League, your domestic cup competitions, and whatever, and you would still have someone moaning about something. I think it's just the way it is. But the way I tend to look at it is everybody pays their money to go and watch their team. So if you want to state an opinion, then it's entirely up to yourself. It might not be agreed with, and it might come across negative, but at the end of the day, you're entitled to your opinion the same as everybody else. And it's football fans as well. See, as football fans, we're really reactive, right? Because see, when you lose a game, your whole week's up in turmoil. It maybe ruins your Saturday or whatever. It takes you a few days to get over it. But then the next week, the hope springs eternal. If you win a game, then all of a sudden everything's right with the world again. It's just the way football is, you know what I mean?
So there's a bit of a disagreement between some Celtic fans related to who should actually be playing up front for Celtic going into next season. It's either Kyogo or Giakoumakis. This week we're going to start with Kyogo. Next week, Mark, we're going to do up a piece in Giakoumakis, and we're going to debate which one is actually more suited to Ange's system. Celtic signed Kyogo to fill the boots of departed Hudson Edouard, a later known Japanese international. Former Barcelona legend Iniesta said that the Celtic fans will grow to love this little striker, as he said his talent is unbelievable and it's just made for the way Ange plays his football. Missing 27 games through injury and still pulling off unbelievable stats to be your top goal scorer. Starts 26, goals 18, assists 6, one touch finishes 14, two touch finishes 3, three touch finishes he had 1, minutes per goal was 2,131 minutes. Oh, sorry, that's total minutes. Sorry, minutes per goal was 118. Minutes per goal and assist was 88. Right-footed goal was 10. Left-footed goal was 4. Headed goal was 3, and chest 1. Now, the reason, Joonas, I put this in because there seems to be a bit of a sway towards Giakoumakis because people are saying he's kind of the most natural finisher at the club, right? And he has 14 goals, and 14 goals. He's 14 of his goals are one-touch goals. You get me?
Aye.
So, but I'm trying to show then like that. But Kyogo has 18 goals, and 14 of his goals are actually one-touch goals as well. And if you go more deeper, Mark, Kyogo is actually in the box more centrally than Giakoumakis ever was.
Aye, but that's because he comes deep to get the ball.
But that's what I'm saying. So, what striker is more suited to Ange's system? Who would you think, Joonas? Just giving us from the outside.
I think you play them on the basis of the opponents that you're playing against. Giakoumakis will suit playing against defences like Livy, or where it's like the land of the giants at the back, and when you need physicality and you need the ball to stick up top. Also, probably in the derby games, or do you play Kyogo off him because they offer different things? Giakoumakis is a more physical presence, and he's more suited to that side of the game, whereas Kyogo's more a sort of finesse kind of player. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So he has his attributes. They're two different types of players. You have to either find a system to incorporate them both, or you play them depending on what opponents you're up against.
I just think as well, Paul. He is lightweight. You can't get away from that. And even, I mean, sorry, but Joonas is saying there when you're playing against your big Livies and that, your big burly guys, but I'm not slagging Kyogo off here, Paul, but in any stretch of the imagination. We've been out kind of bickering about this all day, Joonas, because I said on the forum, for me, Giakoumakis has got to be like our main striker next season. I just think he's a more kind of, I say all round it, is that the kind, maybe better suited to the Scottish game, Paul.
But then, Mark, when Kyogo's not in the team, the fluency of the team isn't right. Do you get me?
Well, he was out for a long term, Paul. Kyogo was out for a long term. We were got us to the top of the league.
And I'll get to that with the goals we scored. But that little spark, Mark, or that movement that Kyogo brings to the team wasn't there. Do you get me?
Aye. But I still think, Paul, that we should find. I've said that if he came in, Paul, I think we should find a way to play him like in your number 10, like a free role like Lubo or Nakamura, or that done with Giakoumakis right up front. Yeah. I just think it's how I don't know. It's even just his kind of poaching instinct and that, Paul. Maybe it's a bit old fashioned as well, Paul. To be honest with you, kind of thing. It's more like.
But if you're going by like Joonas, you don't know, like any club knows now, like that. If they're scouting a player, it's not. You don't go out and look at the player anymore. You look at the player's stats over a period of seasons, and if this player is suited to the way the manager plays, and if you're looking at both players, Mark, the player that Celtic would have signed between the two, more realistically, would have been Kyogo. Do you get me? You know?
I understand that, aye. And then
Yeah,
it's as well, but Joonas is maybe,
you know,
but Joonas is saying maybe it's going to be like a horses for courses, Paul. Whoever we're playing against, it's going to be either or.
But you think Jonas could? I know a lot of players can't play with each other, but we're saying it for years. Like Turnbull and Roger couldn't play together. But could you see maybe Kyogo playing behind Giakoumakis and having two on the bench? Could you think maybe and might work something like that for Celtic, or would it be much?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, right, you can dress up however you want. Like, the guys at the end of the day are going to be wanting to play every game as well. They're not going to be happy doing a rotation or sitting on the bench. So you're going to have to find and either incorporate a different way of playing them, where you play him just off him or whatever, or maybe do a wee bit of experimenting in pre-season and maybe play with a couple of different systems and see how you can incorporate them both into the team. But like I say, they're both good players and they're both playing different. Like they've both got different attributes. So if they can get them working together, then it might be a good partnership.
There, Brian just put up what I was actually in my mouth. It's like comparing apples and bananas. They're comparing two types, totally different players, but they're in the same role, kind of thing.
What we said, Mark, and when we had Barry on the podcast many times, and Barry said it gives us different ways to play that we didn't have in the last couple of seasons. Do you get me?
And it's something that we've said we were missing, Paul.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, as we've spoke about, you need the manager, he needs a plan A and he needs a plan B. So 1 week maybe Kyogo's plan A and Big Gio's plan B, and then the next week it's going to be the opposite, and it's Gio that's plan A and Kyogo's on the bench. Or, do you know what I mean?
We'll do up a piece on Giakoumakis for Thursday, Mark, and we'll talk about the two of them on Thursday. So missing 27 games, Celtic needed players to step up and fill the void left by Kyogo. And many players stepped up for Celtic throughout the season. Abada, 19-year-old, signed as a 19-year-old, now 20. Scored 15 goals, 13 assists. Giakoumakis, 14 goals, 1 assist. Jota, 12 goals, 16 assists. Turnbull, 9 goals, 7 assists, but they were at the start of the season. Maeda, 8 goals, Mark, 4 assists. Rogic, 6 goals, 11 assists. Radisson, 5 goals and 9 assists.
What a season Tony Ralston's had.
Mark,
Delighted, absolutely delighted for him to.
Mark, I put Radisson in, and he's the one player I hided out between all of these players, is because I was constantly saying it, and I wanted to get Jonas' view on this as well. Like, does he actually see? Obviously, he sees the improvements, but
well, Jonas has seen him close up when he was at United as well, and he did United, didn't he rate him at all?
But Mark, the difference, like I was constantly saying, Mark, that Radisson brings something different to Celtic going forward. You get me? And he's 9 assists, Mark. And out of those 9 assists, Mark, 7 of those were to Giakoumakis. So you could see what Radisson actually brings to the attacking sense rather than what Ivanovic would bring, because Ivanovic kind of leans to sit back a bit more, Mark, and rather than getting up front more. Do you get me?
Aye, Paul, it's again, they're kind of different. Although they're both fullbacks, they're like different, isn't they? They're no,
I'm just saying like that. I was constantly saying it, that Radisson gives us more as an attacking.
Aye, I know what you're saying, aye.
You know, and for me, like, if there's an award, Jonas' most improved player in Scottish football, it would definitely went to Anthony Radisson, because when we did our first podcast pre-season, every Celtic fan had him gone.
At the end of the day, though, again, like what Marcus said there, they're different kind of players. If you're looking for someone to be a bit more an attacking threat, and then you're looking at someone who's probably better defensively, because it's nowadays when you look at like fullbacks and stuff like that in modern football, the emphasis is almost on more being able to attack than it is to defend, which I disagree with, because I think as a fullback, your job's still to defend first.
100%, Jonas, 100% on that.
I had this debate with my pals in the pub all the time because, like, there's a lot of younger boys that go to the games with us as well, guys that are like sort of early 20s and stuff. And I'm from a slightly different generation. So when I grew up watching football, it was like late 90s, early 2000s. It was also obviously about defensive solidity first as a fullback. Whereas a lot of these younger boys are now trying to tell me, oh, you're a dinosaur because times have moved on and it's about attacking. But I'm just no shifting on their beliefs.
Yeah, the honest are not going to lose the game. Do you get me?
Your defenders should be defending, Joonas, and your wingers are your attacking players. And really, I totally agree with you. That's one of the reasons, Paul, I've always stuck up for Taylor. I always thought Taylor was a good enough defender. It's when you try to ask him to do this kind of attacking, wing back, full back, whatever you want to call it, role, that he was struggling with it. I totally agree with Joonas on that.
At the start of the year, Taylor has turned a corner. Like Taylor has been.
No, the start of the season, Paul. The start of the year, like for January.
Exactly. Since January, he has been extraordinary. And I agree with you that you're saying, first and foremost, the defence been defending. Like I was watching Manchester United. Honest, I know you were watching it as well yesterday because I saw you on Twitter. But if you watch Manchester United trying to do the high press, do you know what I mean? Like it's just they don't have the players to do it, and if their wing backs try to attack, their defence is caught because they're too slow trying to get back. You know.
But see that Man United team that is red rotten through. Joonas, would see that Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw. Would you take them at United?
Oh, flipping murder! But that's going back to what I said earlier about a rot setting in a club. That club's toxic right from the top to bottom, eh?
Without doubt. Like I remember, Roy Keane said it about when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was there and they were getting into the Europa League final there with Villarreal and Roy, and they all laughed him inside the Sky Sports set, and he was proven right. He said, Manchester United fans need to forget these players. He said, these players threw Van Gaal under the bus, they threw David Moyes under the bus, they threw Jose Mourinho under the bus, and they'll throw Ole Gunnar Solskjaer under the bus. And fans actually thought Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the problem, to be honest. And they weren't. It was these group of players, like we said, if there's a toxic atmosphere, and if you want a prime example of how a club is badly run, it's Manchester United, to be honest.
Well, yeah, exactly. And like you said, if these boys would get. You look at Ralph Rangnick again, right? He's just been brought in there to basically be the lamb to the slaughter because he was never going to be able to do anything with that squad either.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So no wonder he's binned off that consultancy role and took the Austria job because he was thrown right under the bus.
He's still on that job. He's still keeping the Man United job on, Joonas.
What? So he's all right. Okay, so he's managing so he's going to do the Austria job.
Aye, but he's still aye.
Right. But no, like I say, like you have both said there, that this bunch of players would get that Ten Hag the sack. They would get Klopp or Guardiola the sack because they're no good enough.
Definitely. Do you know, like, but you know what, Joonas? That seems to be, we had it last year with some players here with Christie, and we had Edouard Mark. Like, you know what I mean? The modern player now has more power over the manager. Like, you're going back to times like Nigel Clough, Alex Ferguson, Arsene Wenger, like big managers, even Judd Houllier of Liverpool. Like, that would never happen. The player would be out the door as fast as the manager thought he was getting too big.
Well, look at Ferguson with Beckham and that, but the managers, Paul. I mean, but even at Arsenal, you had your Terry Henrys and that. So there was big, massive egos in the changing room, Paul. But these managers knew how to manage them and how to keep it. They kept the power kept with them. These players were all. I mean, Man United. The players were. That Paul Ince, he was one of the most arrogant sods ever in the Man United dressing room and things like that. But we get rid of him eventually. But he was still there, good enough while Ferguson could control them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. I mean, that Jesse Lingard. I mean, that guy stole a wage. I mean, I can't believe he's 29.
Exactly.
That guy stole a wage for put on a Man United shirt for the very first time. And
like,
they know this guy.
His clothes brand or something, Mark, isn't he?
Aye, it's all about. But is that Instagram stuff and all? I saw that part of it all these young players. That Paul Pogba. I've never seen Paul Pogba playing I don't watch them as often as I do, Paul, but I've never seen Paul Pogba playing at what I'd call,
Yeah, exactly.
for what he is, for what he's meant to be, isn't it? I've never seen him dominate a game of football. He's played well for France, but I've never seen him swagger onto a park and just dominate a game of football. The way the likes of your Zidanes and that used to do.
Because all my brother and my late father, they were all Manchester United fans. And I remember saying to my brother when they took Pogba back, and I said, it's a mistake because Ferguson knew that was the right thing for Manchester United to get rid of Paul Pogba when he was younger, because he knew the type of player. And I actually found out later on
That was a lot down to his agent, Paul, that Rio Marola guy.
Yeah, Ferguson was against bringing Pogba back to the club.
Aye. And right, Paul, but people say that, right? Ferguson, I was against Pogba coming back to the club. Right, but Pogba came back. But according to certain Man United fans, Ferguson's still pulling the strings behind the scenes and stuff like that. So it's just whatever kind of suits.
I think so. And I think that's kind of why Mourinho, I think 2 years, was unhappy at that time that Ferguson was still kind of involved, you know?
Well, it was Ferguson that wanted David Moyes to take over. And I think I still think that would have been a good thing if the stuff in the background was it's the way it should be at a club like Man United. I mean, their scouting and everything, Paul's a pure embarrassment when you look at the teams like even Liverpool.
So what they tried to be, the Manchester United, they tried to be the new Galactonians, you know, the new Barcelona, the new Real Madrid by trying to buy all these best named players, Martin. But it just didn't. They just weren't buying the best players. They were just buying, what would you call it?
The richest, the most,
exactly.
the biggest name that they could find and things like that. Do you know what I mean? That's a kind of like Hollywood signings, box office signings, but you're not actually. I mean, Celtic's made them over the years with Janino and Gravison and people like that. I'm sure Dundee United have pushed the boat out with a few failures over the years as well, Joonas.
There's more failures than I can remember, like, hey.
But if you're Man United, big teams, you can't be challenging for the highest honours like the Champions League and that, Paul, when you're getting ran like a shambles behind the scenes. Right, anyway, get off the public. We've had enough about the public.
That's what I'm saying. I wanted to move on. One thing, Joonas, that impressed me about this Celtic team is that there's goal scorers right across the whole first team. You know what I mean? We're not depending on one player to get goals. You know, there's scorers throughout the team, and you know that if our strikers, like when our two strikers are injured, Abada, Yasta, they were chipping in with goals. Roderick was chipping in with goals. I mean, so it is a scary. If I was the Celtic fan, like to be facing Celtic with, you don't know who's going to pop up with a goal.
Yeah, correct. And that's one thing that we certainly haven't got, is like what you guys have got, is you've got boys chipping in with goals from every position. Whereas we've scored something like 33 goals in 36 games this season. So we score less than a goal a game. You know what I mean? So that's a massive issue that we've got, and it'll need to be addressed over the summer, is the lack of goals. Whereas that's what you need to be a successful team, because unless you've got a striker that's going to score 20-25 goals a season, which is very hard to come by, when people have like a sort of hot and cold streak, you need other boys to be chipping in when your strikers aren't scoring, and you boys are getting goals from all your sort of forward players.
It is, Mark, isn't it? When you look at the list of goal scorers there, like it is frightening, like, and it's a big thing for Ange, Mark, what the players that he actually brought into the first team now, you know.
Right, that's just another sign of a good team, but Paul, when the goals are getting spread about the team, you've got all these different scorers. Getting back to Ralston's winner up at Ross County. I mean, you get a whole put on strikers, we need a goal, and a wee big right back pops up with a kind of late winner to take the result. You know, I would rather have goals like that spread about the team, Paul, than have like everything coming through. I mean, like imagine like Kyogo was our main striker, Paul, and he got injured and with nobody else. Do you get what I mean?
Exactly.
I'm not saying you want players injured, but if they get injured, you can rely on whoever's coming in. Plus, you know that you've got other players in that team, like even Hirtati. I mean, Hirtati's goals fees came in. You can't be Matt Orley as well.
It's the
You can't
three
fault it.
between the three lads, Merida, Hayase, and Kyogo. Between the three of them alone, they've chipped in with 35 goals this season, and Hayase and Merida have only been here since January. So if this is what we're seeing from them join us at the start of the season, and I'm always saying it, Joonas, that this pre-season is our biggest pre-season under Ange, because last season he came in too late. But considering our fitness levels this season, and if we have a proper pre-season in Austria where we're going, our fitness levels I think will go another step up with a proper pre-season.
Well, it's true though, Ken. It's one of them ones where you just need to build it, because obviously there'll be things that you're targeting on improving, like the likes that you probably want to look at, like performances in Europe. You'll want to start playing better in European competition. You know what I mean? And things like that. I mean, he's done well for his first season and it's been successful, but there's still obviously big improvements to be made. And like I say, they'll already be identifying areas that they want to get better at, because you can't stand still as a football club.
No,
I mean, I don't know.
Mark, over the years, Mark, didn't it? We stood still.
Aye, but just to go with what Joonas was going to say there, Paul, I don't know if I've spoke to you since it, Paul, with the Joonas' Bodo Glimt game.
Mm-hmm.
Have we spoke to you for Celtic played Bodo Glimt?
Yeah.
Oh, we have spoke about that way, yeah, aye. Nothing for me.
Yeah.
I mean, see, like the earlier on, you can kind of forgive the Europa League because he was still. I mean, it's all before Christmas. He was still building the team and such and such. But for me, the Bodo Glimt result, that's the biggest blot on Angie's CV so far for me. I was really, really disappointed with that. I still maintain to this day that we should have beat them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, like I say, yeah, it was poor. Like, you know what I mean?
But that has been Celtic throughout Europe, Mark, and like it was a trend that continued under Ange, is that we never progressed in Europe, and that's where, as Joonas said, that should be the next step under Ange now, Mark, is improve in Europe, get proper results.
It's got to be. It really has, especially now we've got the Champions League money for next year and things like that, Paul. It's got to. I mean, if we're never going to challenge to win the Champions League, but again, we can't keep going out of Europe to teams like Bodo Glimt and that, Paul. When we're spending the money we're spending on players, on wages, and then plus we're getting more money in, hopefully we'll kick on for that. Teams like that shouldn't be able to touch us. It's really, it's just something that really needs to, and it's just said, Paul, it's been happening for years, ways. Something we just don't seem to be able to shake off.
We're just going to move on to a bit of Dundee United now, Mark. Joonas, you're currently fourth in the league, 44 points. Motherwell behind you on 43. Ross County on 41. Your next two remaining games is Celtic, of course, as us on Wednesday, and then your last game is against Ross County. 4 points, Joonas, I think you should be looking at, or 3 points if you can get it.
Aye, well, the thing is,
advantage for this year, Joonas, with Hearts now already going to be put into the qualifying rounds of the Europa League, so you'd slip down into the qualifiers of the Conference League. Am I right? If you finish fourth,
if you finish fourth, yeah, you're going around. So fifth place means you start a round further back. I've got it somewhere. I can't remember the exact permutations and what round you go into.
Qualifying round you go into, Joonas, I think, into, or the second.
Yeah, I think you go into the second if you come fourth, and you go into the third if you come fifth. It's something like that. And even elimination at the third stage still gets you €500,000. You know what I mean? And that's excluding your gate receipts and stuff like that. So it's a big incentive. And like I say, the problem we've got is, well, we're really needing Hearts to beat Motherwell to do us a favour, because we'll not get anything on Wednesday, I don't think. And then if Hearts beat Motherwell, you've got Motherwell last day of the season, and then going to Ross County, you'd be guaranteed 4th or 5th, so you wouldn't have any pressure on you. Whereas if Motherwell get a result, then we'd be going to Ross County probably needing a victory or a draw to avoid slipping into 6th, which would be a disaster and no European football at all. So the work's not done for us.
No, Mark, it's tricky.
Not really ought to play for. I mean, I'm not expecting Celtic to rock up there and, you know what I mean, get a walkover on Wednesday night. Not ought to play for Dundee United. Joonas says he's £500,000 a lot of money to Dundee United, Joonas. Well, I mean, if you could, even if you could get through, that would be a great result for you. You know what I mean? So that's ought to play for you.
Even if you can get through one round, you get through a couple of rounds, you're probably getting about €1 million, and you know what I mean? And that's the difference. That makes a massive difference to your budgets, who you can bring in. But Europe also, for us, for player recruitment, makes us an attractive proposition, because all of a sudden you've maybe got targets there that are swithering about, are looking at offers from different clubs, but the fact that you've got Europe, it puts you in ahead of a few teams in the queue. You know what I mean? Because not a lot of players get to play at that level at any point in their careers.
Mm-hmm. Even at that, Mark, like even for Dundee United as a club, to be back in Europe, because it's been a long time since you were in Europe. Like for the city alone, Mark, to have European football there on a Thursday night, like it'd be great. Like and it would be great too for Scottish football if these teams could progress in Europe. You know?
The more teams you've got in Europe, Paul, the higher your kind of profile, and your league gets noticed a wee bit more and things like that. I mean, but like them getting to the Europa League final, there'll be people in Europe that have looked at this league table and league for the last couple of weeks that probably not bothered their backside about it for years just because of that. So it does help raise your profile and coefficient stuff, and it gets all these gets teams a good bit of bung out it as well.
Yeah, no, you get a good bit of money out, and it's also good for Scotland as in like the coefficient. It makes it a more attractive league, and like you said, it helps you get better players in the country as well.
And even like your main team, Joonas, and as you said there as well, like that, it's goals, it's getting goals. Do you know what I mean? And at this stage of the season, you just don't care where these goals are going to come from. But once you get these goals, do you know?
Sorry, could you say that again, mate? I had a problem with my signal there.
Your main thing this season was getting goals, you know. And at this stage of the season, you just don't care where these goals come from. Once these goals come, a win's a win, you know.
Oh, definitely. It doesn't, like, I'm not caring about the performances now. You've got 2 games left. Just make sure you get over the line.
I mean, the same Tony Watt, you'd have had. I mean, what's Tony Watt scored? What is it? 2 goals, Joonas?
Thing is, though, he's not scored the most amount of goals, but he's got a number of assists, and he's actually overall.
Is he playing well? Aye, that's what.
Yeah, he's been playing well. He's made a huge difference. It's probably his poorest game for us today, actually, to be honest with you. But overall, we can't complain with his contribution. So I'm not too disappointed about how that's went. You know what I mean?
Do you know
maybe he'll kick on a bit for his next season and start bagging a few goals in.
No, he will do. Like, yeah, I'm not worried about that. It's more to do with, just like you say, it's more to do with getting better players around him as well.
Exactly. And that's what
getting more creativity.
See, Joonas, do you know what I mean? You know, like if I wasn't from Scotland, and if I didn't know about the split, and if I was looking at the league table, and I'd be looking at Livingston and Hibs in 7th and 6th, like. Livingston have 45 points and Hibs have 42 points. You know.
Yeah, and I don't think for 1 second that your Hibs, your Aberdeen, clubs like that are going to be as poor as they have. It's been a poor league, bar the top sort of end this year, because everybody's just cut each other's throats. We're only in a position that we're in because of how, you know, other teams' failures, you know what I mean? Certainly hasn't been the fact that we've been great, you know what I mean? So we need to really up our game as well, because if we're not going to be able to play the way we've done this season, and for it to continue, you know what I mean?
You're not a fan of the manager Tom Coates, ain't you, know, Joonas, really?
I just don't think, I'm just not 100% with the way he's sort of, the way you know, the way he sets the team up. He sets it out to be too defensive. He sets it out to be not to lose, and it's like we're always playing with the handbrake on. You
Aye.
know what I mean? And
It's alright setting up not to lose against Celtic or Rangers or whatever, but there's games. I mean, there's games Dundee United should be going out and basically they should be overrunning teams to a certain extent. You know what I mean? Games that you think that we should be out here going at them and winning this rather than being that kind of negative holding back for trying to dominate them in that.
exactly.
Like, you know, I remember early on the season, the 1-1 draw at Celtic Park, and they were actually the first team, Mark, at the
Aye,
time to actually attack Celtic.
gave us a really good game that day, Paul.
And
That,
when you're saying
that
then
wee
you
Fuchs,
see-
wasn't it? It was that wee Fuchs that ran the show that day, wasn't it?
yeah,
Yeah, it was. Aye, so
the
there you
big
go.
loss to Joonas, weren't they?
You must be missing him, Joonas.
Yeah, like his that's been a massive blow for us. Like, you know what I mean? Losing him, because the thing is, it was his energy. You know what I mean? It was one of those ones where he covered so much, like, sort of ground. He just did a lot, and it's very difficult for a club like us to lose a player like that. You know what I mean?
It's like he was doing the job of two players, wasn't he? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've spoken about him umpteen times. We really liked him too, Paul, wasn't it? It was Joonas that brought him up to Joonas and Mikey.
When we were looking for players, Mark, that we would have taken, we would have been happy
Definitely.
that time. But not just Fuchs, Joonas.
Excuse me.
Seems like a player this season as well who hasn't turned up for you.
Sorry.
McNulty.
Yeah, no, it just doesn't work for him. He's been with us for 2 seasons, and it really just hasn't worked for McNulty. You know what I mean? It's just one of those situations, eh?
And there's another lad, I forget his name, Joonas, who actually really impressed me. And if you could get him on loan again next season, is the young lad you had. Stubbsy's mentioned him there as well. The young lad from Manchester United.
Well, we've started talks with Man United because it doesn't look like he's getting offered a new contract. What we're hoping will sway that is that coach has basically turned around and said that the team will be built around him, because he is a brilliant player.
Yeah.
And his mum and dad are actually quite pally with a lot of us boys. They come to the pub with us and travel on, like, sometimes they come on a supporters bus or whatever, or they travel up from Wales, and they've ended up getting a good affiliation with the fans, so they're always in the pub and stuff, and, like, you know, they're good company and all that kind of stuff. So
as well, Joonas, for the young lad, like, to go there, feel the love from the fans, and kind of rebuild his career. Do you know what I mean? Start off with yourselves, rebuild his career. And we're always saying it with us, Mark, at Celtic, like, Celtic is a stepping stone for a lot of young players. So the exact same thing we could say about signing this lad. You know
Look at Andy Robertson. Sometimes players need to take a step back, especially for like a big club, Paul. Sometimes you need to take a step back in their career to progress their career longer term. And things like that. I mean, if boys you know got a future at Man United, why not come up to play for Dundee United, where you're going to be playing every weekend?
He's only 21 as well, Mark. You know what I mean? So even if we say to him, look, we'll give you a 3-year deal, and if we get a good offer after 1 season, we'll not stand in your way. You know what I mean? Give him a sort of stepping stone to launch his career. But he said in an interview with a Manchester newspaper that this is the best, this is the most that he's ever loved. He's been on a few loan spells, but he said that this is by far the best club that he's been in, the best environment he's been in. So,
Well, it's sounding good for you anyway, isn't it?
Yeah. So hopefully we can just see this next couple of games.
Maybe we'll bring Ronaldo up with him for you.
Aye. As long as he doesn't bring Harry Maguire, then we're all right.
Yeah. Well, can he do it, Joonas? Can he get this final push? Because I think he should be beating Ross County. Like, if he did get anything off Celtic only need a draw to secure the title, but Celtic don't set themselves up for a draw. The way we play, we historically don't play well against Celtic anyway. Like, we struggle against you. Like, the times that you've played us at home in the cup and in the league, it's been too comfortable 3-0s. It's just like,
we just seem to do okay against Rangers, and we seem to sort of go into that with a more sort of attack-minded mentality. But it's almost like we hoist the white flag before a ball's kicked against Celtic. It's more like a mental block with us, with you boys. So I'm not expecting anything from that. So Saturday will be a big one for us.
And Hearts are playing Motherwell on Wednesday night as well, aren't they?
Eh?
Hearts playing Motherwell on tonight.
Hearts are playing Motherwell. So Hearts are at Tynecastle, but we can't rely on them to get a result because they're just sort of looking at the cup final. But there'll be boys playing for cup final places, and Motherwell have only won one game all season, and that was away to Ross County. So I mean, there's no reason that we can't go up there and win. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Like Mark, we've known Joonas now for the start of the season since he's doing the podcast, and like we've always kept an eye on Dundee United throughout the season, and it'll be a huge achievement, Mark, if they could get, and if like a Celtic fan, we want Celtic all to win, but would you like to see Dundee United get a draw against us if we secure the title with a draw?
Wouldn't be overly disappointed, to be honest, Paul.
I really wouldn't, just because of us knowing Joonas, Mark, do you know what I mean? And he talked massively against Dundee. He told us things like what they do in their background, their sports science, and like we were amazed.
I'd like to see Dundee United get into Europe. I've said, Paul, I can remember Dundee United winning the league. You know what I mean? Joonas, were you alive when the European final and that?
No, because I was 89, so I think it was 87 that they were in the cup final.
I've said that before when Joonas has been on. Dundee United, Aberdeen as well, they deserve to be big clubs, Paul. They've paid their dues over the years and that, and it's just a case of they need to kind of see these kind of, I don't know, maybe the owners. I know Joonas, that the guy, that Thompson, had a bit ideas above his station, maybe a bit, but they need to get something that's got that kind of bit of ambition to push on. And why no? I mean, right, we know about the finances at Ibrox. Why not have a wee nudge and try and just push the boat a bit more and see how bad they could collapse? And you maybe still second place one season. But Aberdeen, Dundee United, they're two big, massive clubs, Paul. And I wouldn't really care if Celtic drew with them Wednesday night. It really wouldn't bother me. In the long term, it's not going to cost us. It's not going to cost us anything.
No, exactly. Well, like
who's that? Who shouted hello there?
Can you hear us, aye? Sorry, I'm late to the party, boys. iPads. Crazy.
Joonas, that's John. I don't know if you spoke to John United Ireland for the forum and that.
I've been on before, when he was on, because I think it was after a United game he was on, so I spoke to him before.
Joonas, there's another thing I just wanted to ask as well. I've actually heard nothing about it, but something is happening between Coates and Butcher. I think he came out and said there it was 2 weeks ago that he's not going to play for the club anymore. Has there any been light on that situation? What happened there?
It's a private matter. There's something happened off behind the scenes in his personal life, which means that the club have had to take action. That says I know a wee bit more about it, but I'm not wanting to go into.
Yeah, exactly.
It's any dodgy, man, Jones.
Yeah, it's not something. It's not something that I want to speak about really. But yeah, it's just a private matter.
You can message me later and tell me.
Do you know? But Joonas, the way you want Dundee United to play and the way Butcher's plays, I really don't see it as last, because I think he's a player who's always one step away from a red card anyway.
The thing is with Butcher, to be fair to him, this actually came when he was probably in his best form, run of form since he's been with us over his 2 spells. He was actually playing really well, and he'd sort of settled himself down. And in games against like the likes of Rangers, Hearts, where you need a bit of dig, we've actually missed them. So it's actually came at a bad time. Because he was in his best form, you know what I mean? And a hatchet man isn't your sort of go-to guy in most games of football, but against certain opponents you do need a bit of steel, because we've got a lot of young laddies that are good football players, but they're all built like the side of a fag paper, like, you know what I mean?
That's,
You need to hit,
that's the one player we say we're missing is a hatchet man.
Oh, not a hatchet man, Paul. Just a bit of physical presence in there. Somebody with a bit of dig, a bit of metal about them.
You know, any developments on Seagrass, Joonas, or is he away? Do you think, or
it's getting to the stage of the season now that I think a couple of the boys like him and Ian Harks are. I think a couple of them are maybe holding out to see if they get European football, if there's other clubs in for them. But we can't hang around for them forever. I would just say to them, look, if you've not signed your contract before you come back for pre-season or whatever, then you're gone. You know what I mean? Just withdraw the offer. You can't hold the club over a barrel.
Exactly. I just want to bring John in there. John, you've said that at the start of the season you predicted a treble, but we're going to do the double. It's been a great season for Celtic, hasn't it?
It's been brilliant, Paul. It's been a roller coaster, isn't it? Just for the start, obviously, when we kind of had that wee bad start, it was kind of things going to work out. But just if we got up form, obviously, just things have took right off, and we've been better and better as each game's went on. It that's 30 games in the league we went unbeaten. Plus, we ran alright with them at Parkhead. We turned them in at Rainmidden as well. And, when they put us at the semis, it was just unlucky. Just they kind of just took their chance to equalise and obviously scored a winner in extra time. And overall, I'm happy with the job he's done, and I wish next season was starting tomorrow. Just can't wait to see the signings we get in the Champions League group that we get. It'd be good to hear the Champions League song again at Parkhead, and it's looking good on Jan, so we just need the board to back him now.
It is, Mark. It's going to be like what John said there, like going into the summer, like with Champions League football, like it'll be exciting times. Like the sign, like we know there's going to be a few players leaving. Neil Bisson came out today. He's actually gone back to, is it Tel Aviv? Mark, he's going back to.
That who he's going to? But is there going to be a fee involved in that, Paul?
No.
See, I didn't think there would be.
No, because he's in his last year anyway, so I think maybe Celtic might.
I had on the forum, Paul. See, when you sit and work out the finances, what we do him, blah blah blah. If he stayed a year and sat there for nothing, you can't turn on a team to pay £1 million for near beating.
It's like what Arsenal did, Mark, with Aubameyang. Do you mean they counted his wages and they were actually saving money, letting him go to Barcelona for free.
Aye.
Wasn't, you know, and knowing at the weekend's podcast we do a piece on Neil Bisson, like, you know, there was never an issue with Bisson's quality, Mark. It was just whatever manager decided to play him in defence, and that's where people started criticising.
That's where his problem started, Paul.
Yeah.
I mean, he's never really came out and claimed a place he's in the team. But for me, his place was always like your backup CDM. Paul, even at times I'd have popped him up front at times when we were struggling for a goal because of his height. But once I can't even remember. It wasn't Ronnie, was it, that put him back as a centre back? Was it Rodgers? And that was the kind of kiss of death. He get Brendaned. That's what that's what the Liverpool. See, when Rodgers was at Liverpool, I used to be on the Liverpool sites and listening to the Liverpool heads all moaning about it, and that was the nickname for it. They called it being Brendaned. He took these young players and tried to get shift, see, like the square pegs and round holes kind of thing. He was trying to get these young players to do things that they weren't capable of doing, and that kind of stalled their career, and they were losing interest and want to leave the club, and that was what they were all calling it, being Brendaned. And that's what he done with Beaton for me.
Jonas, hopefully we're going to see Barkas, Bolingoli, a Yesi. So if you said you're looking for a striker, you might be looking for a keeper. There you have it.
I'll take the boy Ayeti if he screws the nut, because he can put the ball in the poke. I could maybe tolerate it. Anything's better than the strikers we've got.
I think a Yesi would suit the way Dundee United play, Mark. Celtic didn't suit him, I think. You know, I think he's
not got the mobility to play in a high pressing system, but for a team like us, with like Tony Watt, he'd probably bang the goals in.
I think so. I said that, Mark, that a Yesi isn't a striker who would lead the line on his own. He needs someone up there with him. And as Jonas says there, Mark, with Tony Watt, a Yesi could easily do a job for Dundee United next season.
I don't think a yet will be Dundee United, Paul.
No, but I'm saying like,
Probably would. I probably could do a job for them, but I mean, it's just unrealistic. But isn't it, really,
you know,
I mean, again, do you think we'll get any money for a Yeti?
a big loss, Mark. I say max, considering you like
I don't think we'll get anything for him, Paul.
we paid 5 million for him, Joonas, right? And he's been one of the biggest flops I think Celtic had for a long, long time going forward. I say max, we could be looking at him be 800,000 to $1 million.
That's the thing, though. That's what happens in football. Every signing's a gamble, and not every big money signing will. I mean, he started off all right. He did start scoring a few goals, but I just don't think he's not got the mobility to play in the system that Celtic want. Like all the front players that Celtic have got are quick and are mobile. Yeah, he's just not like that kind of. He just doesn't suit that kind of system. He has to go somewhere where he plays in a system that suits him.
You could probably find stats that would prove he's the best striker in Britain, like right enough.
Do you want me to try?
You probably could.
You know, I'm big into stats, to be honest. I really am, boy. Do you know what I mean? And I haven't been wrong yet, Mark.
I'm surprised Sky Sports haven't phoned you yet, because they're always waffling nonsense on the stats. So you've got a gig with them, my brother.
Oh Jesus! Like you see some of the stats there that they be doing there, and there's one fella, he's on Twitter, and Mark sent me a few things. Paul, what does this mean? And the fella Mark is just putting out stats just for the sake of it. I think Mark, doesn't he? You know,
I'll be honest, Paul. I used to think I was quite into all the kind of stat stuff. Do you know what I mean? And maybe 5-6 years ago, when it was the kind of stats and all the background to stuff. But see now, half the stuff they go on about, I've not got a clue what they're saying. That wee Bawz analytic guy on Twitter and things like that, I've not got a clue about all this goals chance. How can you tell if something's a goal chance if it doesn't come up as like a missed, like a shot on target or a shot off target?
Exactly, it's a miss. That's
it's
what
just,
it is.
See a lot of this, Paul. I think it's just a lot of this has come into the game because scouts in that deal use all these kind of data things, and I think a lot of that sneaked into the mainstream kind of thing. And companies like Sky, you've got a 24-hour news channel thing you need to fill, so they're going to come up with any old shite to fill the hours. And
I remember at the time it was the crowd that owns Liverpool owns. Is it sports something? Is it? It's American crowd. The two Americans that own Liverpool, and they
Fenway, is it no
Fenway? The Fenway group or something into this.
They came in and they brought in. At the time, they brought in these loads of scouts, and they started buying players like they did in the baseball, purely because the stats, and Liverpool was signing all these wrong players. Just because
it's Moneyball.
Actually, Klopp that stopped this. Klopp actually.
That's what the thing was called. Moneyball, Paul. No Moneyball, Paul. Moneyball. There's a film about it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But that's what they tried to bring. Is it baseball? It's baseball, isn't it? And that's how. And they tried to bring this in. And it became the big thing down in England that they were all talking about this Moneyball and all that. But see, guys that know about football, because like Ed Tood speaks to guys higher up in football and that, and he used to say, don't buy into all that, it's just rubbish. Moneyball doesn't work for football because it's no stats driven. There's that much, excuse me, there's that much a 50-50 in football, Paul, that it doesn't work out that way or something.
It is, but I think now, with the technology, Mark, you have to look at some stats over a course of a player's career, but the way some people go, it's just ridiculous. Like, you know what I mean? I don't even understand.
The things on Twitter, and that's just for attention, and I'm no attention. What is it, like likes and impressions on social media?
I actually caught that fella out one day, Mark. He put up something against this, and I was like, "But why?" It was actually predicted goals, Mark.
That's the one that gets me, Paul. That predicted goals with the times G shite and stuff like that.
And I quit. But
XG, yeah.
Aye, that's that. Aye, Joonas.
And I quit. I goes, but why? are you putting up questioned goals when you can't predict a player is going to score? Do you get me? In real time football, you can't predict that, like, you know what I mean? And he was going, oh, but you can go on by his recent form, and he gets a goal every couple of minutes. I said, yeah, but he mightn't get a goal for 2-3 days. He might go through a blip. He might go through this. I said, there's all different factors coming. Fella blocked me.
Did he?
Yeah.
I see, that's the thing. I mean, it's like, you could have I don't know, see Ronaldo running up to take your penalties every week in, week out. At some point in time, who's going to miss that? You get what I mean? There's just always that human error that comes into it. And I mean, don't get us wrong, I follow the guy just because it's a Celtic guy and some of the stuff he puts up alright, but just the majority is just garbage to me, to be honest. No offence to the wee guys that do it and that.
Just moving on to the game on Wednesday. I don't think, Mark, what the scoreline is going to be. I can't see them catching us. I think it's party celebrations out at the end of the season.
You went quiet, Paul.
What's that?
Joonas, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here, mate.
John, you still there?
I'm still here, mate. Aye.
It's party celebrations now, John. And the league is done and dusted, in my opinion.
That's better. Sorry, I don't know what happened there, lad. Sorry about that.
Aye, Paul, it's party celebrations, definitely. I was late to the party tonight, but I'll certainly won't be late to a party next Saturday. A full day shot for me, just during the week. Just
come on on Thursday night, Paul. John.
Aye, I'll come on game on after the game.
No, Thursday. No, Wednesday. We're playing on Wednesdays, you know.
Yeah.
Aye, it's Wednesday. You're doing it on Thursday night.
Aye, we'll do one on Thursday night. Aye,
I'll jump on.
Good
I've
man.
kind of got the hang of this iPad now. It was trying to get Skpe that on this, and earlier on it was asking us obviously like my mic, and I clicked block by mistake, and I was trying to get into all the settings and that, and I'm blocking.
I don't know why, but I came up. I knew you'd muted yourself. It's a new thing that's popping up. It's kind of confusing me a bit, but I could tell that you were muted. That's how I texted you to say you've muted your own mic.
It was like I clicked block on the mic earlier, and I was just setting all this up, and I didn't mean it, and I was trying to get on. It was saying mic's blocked, then I had to go through Google there and look through how to get into it, and I had to get into all the settings and this iPad and unblock it all. But that's it now. It's sorted now. So
Excuse me.
It is like, Mark. It's done and dusted. Like you can't see us slipping up. I think the players kind of knew that by their celebrations on Saturday as well, that the league is done. And it's good for Callum McGregor, Mark, his first season, Player of the Year. He's lifting his first league as a captain as well.
And the League Cup, Paul. 2 trophies in his first year as captain. I seen a thing on Twitter earlier on the day as well that after it came up about Scott Brown retiring yesterday, I seen it that every 28 games Scott Brown get presented with a trophy.
I seen that myself.
That's some record for Bruni, for any player, but I mean, I know at the start in that there was a lot of stuff. I don't think Scott Brown was as good a player as he was years ago as he became, Paul.
No, not John. The end of it, Mark, and it'd be interesting to see Joonas there as well. And that actually,
Joonas, what did you think of Scott Brown when he was a younger player?
He just needed
He calmed down.
Yeah, I think he was just a bit hot-headed, but he matured as he got older because he was probably just a bit too dirty when he was young, probably, and just a bit reckless. But that can happen, okay? And like you mature as you get older, eh?
I said the same on the forum. I thought Scott, when we signed him, it was a kind of, I'm not saying it was the total deal, but it was maybe a kind of, a lot of the support just seen it as a one-up on Rangers because they were trying to sign him. And a lot of people at the time, who was it? Thompson, wasn't it? That went to Rangers. And a lot of people at the time, and a lot of Celtic fans even said at the time as well, that Thompson was actually a better football player than Scott Brown was. But, I mean, over the years, he proved his worth to Celtic, so, I mean, fair play to him, that's him retired, and he'll always be, for me, he's always going to be a Celtic great, and he's a legend now, really, just for the length of service, the captain, and the trophies he's won.
I think he'll give McGregor the trophy next Saturday. I've seen a lot of things like that today online and Twitter and that.
He actually refused it.
Did he? Aye.
He came out and he said, do you know what, Mark? I said fair dues to Scott Brown here. He didn't want to take the attention away from Callum McGregor lifting his first trophy as captain of Celtic.
That's Snoop Dogg out to do it. Aye.
He's going through a party or something, didn't he?
Aye, get Snoop Dogg and Ryland.
He's right. Yeah, sure, Ryland's come the new face now.
Aye, because of this this motor deal, into that Dougie Parks fell out with him there.
Jesus Christ. Man.
What do you think of that, Joonas? What would you feel if your club chairman decided to do something like that against a major sponsor?
Well, I seen all that hoo-ha kicking off at the start of the season, and it was something to do with the fact that, like, Cinch could have pulled the plug on, like, the biggest sponsorship deal that the SPL has ever had in its history, all because those scumbags threw the rattle out the pram. So it's unacceptable.
You won't see, like, to me, the Scottish FA is letting them get away with it. You won't see this in no other league. If a club jeopardised their major sponsor, that club will be pulled or they'll be deducted points.
Okay, see, at the end of the day, see if they did do that, then throw the club out the league.
They shouldn't be getting any prize money at the end
No,
of the season.
I was going to say that, John. Definitely no.
Yeah, exactly.
They refused to promote it, didn't they? So
I mean,
they shouldn't be taking any money.
That's spot on, actually.
Aye, they're spot on, John. That the other week when they done it was at Motherwell when they kind of taped them out. I mean, fucking hell, man.
Imagine they're being that pathetic and going to those lengths, over the sake of a sponsor. Because it's even when I was at Ibrox earlier in the season when we played against them, they didn't have like the Cinch like match banners or anything, nothing on the advertising boards. There wasn't any Cinch, nothing around the stadium or that. Like, that's how bitter they are.
But did you see any Dougie Park ones?
Mark?
Aye.
No,
Mark,
but
there was a Cinch inside the dressing rooms there of smell.
But I don't see this.
I
don't know where this comes from.
Discussions with them. On you go, mate.
You're saying, I know Rangers were meant to be discussions. You didn't like a private deal between them, and then they went.
Mark,
you go to Ibrox, there's nothing there advertising any with Dougie Park that I can remember seeing. And what happens if they get into the Champions League and Ford want to advertise? Are they going to tell UEFA, no chance? We've got a deal with Dougie Park, our chairman. We don't advertise Ford.
It's not just that either. Like, Joonas, it's like banning Chris Sutton and Neil Lennon for European competitions coming into their teams. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm surprised. BT, like, I know BT kind of stuck it up and said, "Well, we're going to Celtic Park, so we're not going to broadcast anything." I mean, but I just can't believe like that they're getting away with this stuff. You get me?
I think it was he says he couldn't guarantee our safety. Well, that get proved, didn't it, when we played them at Ibrox when they scalped one of our coaching staff with a bottle. So it's kind of stuff like that. You should be getting him made dig for it.
Then again, what have we heard about anything like that?
Nothing. No, it's just.
And see, I know. I mean, we've spoken.
Said that disabled and elderly were attacked at Celtic Park the other day. Get me?
But Paul, that statement was probably prepared before the game. Right? If we get beat here, just press send on that button. I mean, Joonas has been to Ibrox. Joonas, I know you've took some amount of abuse kind of thing there as well. And that, man, it's terrible what they get away with when it comes to the way they just kind of steamroller across everybody, demand it there and the right, and then everybody just shuts up about it and forgets about it.
Yeah, well, that seems to be the case. If another club does anything, all of a sudden there's an absolute bloodbath in the papers for weeks on end, and they'll keep dredging it up at any opportunity. And this is any team, by the way. But as soon as they do something, it just gets swept under the rug. It's like you say, the glass bottle in the goal mouth, the boy getting hit on the head, the coaching staff, the boy trying to run onto the pitch to attack the players when the equaliser and everything. It's just like nothing gets said about that. It's all swept under the carpet. But as soon as any other club, a United supporter throws a smoke bomb onto the pitch at Aberdeen away, and they've got a fucking double-page spread about it in the Daily Record and everything. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And the guy's getting hounded on social media, and his employers are getting contacted, and all sorts of garbage.
Boys are nearly losing jobs because of something like that. But then you've got guys scalping folk with bottles, but nothing gets said about it apart from one puff piece in some local paper. And
then we're investigating it. I mean, but fair play to Celtic. Celtic came out with the right answer to that when they came out with that.
Exactly.
And they said, well, we're still investigating what happened to we're employ you. This that happened with the bottle in the park. What's going on with this kind of thing? What's happening with that investigation?
No idea.
Nothing, Mark.
No,
Nothing.
but it really is. I mean, Joonas is saying
they didn't even come out and apologise to our physio that time. Do you know
no.
what I mean?
Oh,
They put in.
they apologised in private. That's no use.
Exactly.
They should be out condemning that. If that was Celtic fans, I would expect Celtic to be condemning them and saying that isn't how Celtic fans behave. If we find out who you're, we're taking your season ticket off you and you're banned out of Celtic Park.
Mark, the way their fans are, Mark, they'd be seen by their fans then as weak. Do you get me?
That's the thing about it, aye.
You know, and
then you came out with mind. What was it? Paul? They said, somebody gave Joe Hart the broken bottle coming out the tunnel to plant in the grass. I mean, what kind of
honestly,
like they were putting. If Joe Hart didn't spot that, they were putting their own striker Roofs in danger there. If he went in there for a sliding tackle or any one of their own players, they were putting their own player in danger. You know, I know what they're thinking was behind that. Like they could have put any one of their own players in danger of a serious injury if he slid in that glass as well.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they forget that like their players have got to go in that box as well. It doesn't. It's harming their team just as much as it's harming the opposition.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I just didn't see any logic, Mark, to what that fan did by Sean.
No, but I've said it in the forum, I said it in the podcast after it happened. I don't know, I've not been at Celtic Park for 10 years or something now, but when I was going to FIB every week, Paul, see if a Celtic fan done that, they're getting a bat in the mouth off of the guys round about them. They really are, Paul. They're just...
issue, Joonas, like, as I don't go as much as I do, like, but I go down when I can, is when I go to the Cork City matches, they tap you down, like, and if you have a bottle with you, a glass bottle, not you won't get a glass bottle in there, but if you have a plastic bottle with you, it takes off the cork, even if you're an adult. Like, and
they did that at Celtic Park as well, Paul.
I can't understand, Mark, how they win these glass bottles. Do you get me?
Aye, I know what you're saying, but they did that at Celtic Park. I've heard stories and seen women getting, like they're smuggling in bottles of ginger for their wee kid and things like that, wee plastic bottles, they take them off them.
They not left such a woman's bag or something, so Mark, or what?
No, but they're allowed to, Paul. They're allowed to get into food. I think maybe it's a woman that needs to maybe do it, but they do take a lot of stuff off of women and that. They're taking, it's just sneaking snacks in for their kids, which is pathetic to me.
There should be absolutely no glass sold in a stadium, like, you know what I mean?
No, there's no glass sold in the stadium, but it doesn't need to be glass, Paul, even plastic.
Plastic, like, yeah. You know?
I got a plastic bottle of cola I took off us, but obviously it wasn't cola that was in it, but as soon as they seen us with the steward, just took it off us, man. Just sat down at the start of the game.
Like, you get over, Mark, a fucking plastic cup thrown at you. I mean, that, you know, I know it's wrong, like, but you get over. But when there's a glass bottle thrown at you, that's a different...
Glass bottles, Paul, get back to Jota when Jota was going out to take corners. You could visibly see it on the telly, coins getting through at him. Get back to Lee Griffiths getting batteries through at him, a guy running on the park to confront Scott Brown. And there's the worst behaved fans in Scotland, and they just steamroller any negativity and twist it to what they're saying becomes the acceptable. Even though, if you look at it, none of it adds up, none of it's true.
I can just imagine the bad image that you guys are going to get in Scotland when they go to Seville.
Well, that's going to be a bloodbath, that, is it?
The party honest, won't this?
That'll be a bloodbath, like, eh?
Yeah, you know, and it's giving Scotland a bad reputation, Mark. Do you get me? That's what it's doing. It's giving Scotland a bad reputation. You know?
Because Paul, see, to be honest, right, every group, every team in Scotland's got their own wee kind of pocket, wee dodgy fans, but it's not a wee. I mean, right, fair do. Celtic's got a big majority, but we've got a big support as well. But it's their fault entire support. Just seem to be. They just think they're a law above everybody else, and they can do what they want and get away with it. And anybody that speaks out about them just gets bullied into silence.
Yeah, let's get and that's why it's continuing, Mark. Is because they're left get away with it. You know, and that's why it hasn't stopped. It's because one, the club failed to come out and condone it. Two is that the SPL let them get away with it. Do you know what I mean? If what the SPL should be doing, Mark, in my opinion, is close a section of the stand and start with that.
Then we're talking about that strict liability. And if they try to bring that into Scotland, one of the main opponents to that would be Rangers, without a doubt. When you're getting held responsible for what your fans are doing, and you can get stand shot, you can get heavy fines, and that's why they'll not do that, because that's the only club support that it would really, really affect. I mean, Dundee United will probably have a wee ultra gang that are out having a wee punch up down the train station or that, Joonas, kind of thing. Maybe, 10, 20 guys. You've got 30,000 Rangers fans in George Square wrecking the place. And nobody's batting an eyelid, and the police are standing there watching that.
I know, the thing is, like you say, like we've got like a wee squad of young boys and that, but they're not even really troublemakers. Like they bring the smoke bombs and some flares and that, and they're just trying to cause an atmosphere.
Okay, that brings an atmosphere.
They might have a wee scuffle with the wee gang of Neds that supports whatever club we're playing on the weekend or whatever, or as you did when you were 16, 17, 18, go to the game with your pals, and they're hardly out there committing
30 or 30.
You know what I mean?
Aye,
exactly.
but you always get that.
Serious crime, you know what I mean?
You're always getting that. That's always been that at FIBA for as long as I can remember, Joonas. You know what I mean? But no when it's a false support, it's just. What is it like? That's their mentality.
Yeah, but they keep going on about it's a minority, but it's not really. You know what I mean?
No, definitely no. And even when you see guys, there's all these wee accounts pop up on Twitter and social media that are kind of trying to promote it. I don't know if it's Celtic fans that they wind up. I know one of them was meant to be like a PR company doing it, but it's like Rangers for Change kind of thing and trying to change things. And the abuse these guys gets unbelievable.
It's Mark Slater, didn't they?
Dogs abuse folk want to find out where they're living and who. I mean, all because they're saying, just be like a wee normal support.
Just before we go, there's one thing I wanted to bring up, and for me, it's the assist of the season. Charlie Adam at the weekend. I thought it was just the perfect assist any striker could get.
Well, that's him won the assist of the season and the dive of the season award. So Charlie Adams got a double.
No, he's got a double. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
I shared it on Twitter. A couple of my mates did as well, and it's just like it was unbelievable. Like, because you're looking at it and you're thinking to yourself,
like, who was he passing it at?
See, when I first watched it, right, I was like, wait a minute here, because I thought Dundee were on the attack, and I was like, yeah, that's a great ball, and then I realised he was in his own box.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought when I watched it. I thought like Dundee were on the attack, and then they just seen the ball, then just going to the opposition player and bang it in. I was going, Jesus Christ.
So, somebody put up on the forum that on Sportscene or something like that, they said it was because he was so technically gifted he could make that pass or something.
That was on Sportscene, Mark, because he was so technically gifted that any other player could have made a pass. I'm not going to go.
Paul, see if you can go on Sky for talking stats. I can go on Sportscene for talking absolute shite. You know what I mean? That programme just, it's...
my head's full of mince for talking, like...
Aye, I should wonder how these guys get their jobs, but Joonas, think you these guys are commentating?
Who's going to be the next one of them? Do you know who'll be the next one of them? The fella who's going to talk this about Celtic, and when he was
Charlie Adam?
No, Craig Gordon.
Alright, yeah.
You think so? I think he's got a career? Summer will be keeping him right on how to get his media career going. That's another thing. As I said, that's one of the reasons I hate Craig Gordon, I know. Because of him, Jerry McCulloch's on Celtic TV. I hate that guy with a vengeance. I hate him. Can you not mind him on Clyde, John?
Aye, Jerry McCulloch. Aye.
I mean, he was a soup-taking get on that, slaving a lot of garbage, man. Now he's the main man on Celtic TV. Sits there with it, can you remember this game and that? That game you were slagging us off on Clyde 5-6 years ago, you plank.
The odd day, didn't they?
Dundee United TV, Joonas.
Sorry?
Do you have your own kind of club channel and?
Yeah, aye. But we don't we had presenters in that, so we had Sean Dillon that was on it, like that played for Montrose. So when he wasn't playing, he'd be on it as a guest, and like just a couple of ex players and stuff like that, and then a presenter. But because like everybody's back to normal, but like the football matches and stuff like that, I think it's just a commentary only. There's not like an introductory, there's not a show or anything anymore, like a pre-match show. It's just a comment. They'll just do a build up for like 15 minutes and just talk over like when the warm-ups are getting played and stuff, you know what I mean?
Like I think you said
a bit like Sky then, just cuts off after the final whistle.
Unbelievable, eh?
I'd see the coverage of Scottish football's terrible, Joonas, isn't it? The standard day that Sky final whistle goes and that's it, the programme's our way, no interviews or nothing.
Terrible.
So I was watching, I did a piece there on the podcast there a couple of weeks back, Mark, and I said Sky Sports are going to fall short again by 5 games of their commitment to the SPL, all right? And you notice the 5 games that they're not committing to, you are actually affected in it, because it's the game that the Europa League final spots games they're not shown, like yourselves against like they're showing us, but you're not going to be shown at the weekend. Do you get me?
Yeah, and what annoyed me as well
is that your club needs.
And what annoyed me at the start of the season, when the league split, was why was the Dundee St Johnstone game not on the first weekend of the fixture split, the biggest, like a big relegation battle? Why was that not broadcast?
Exactly. And I think, Mark, we have, is it 3 years left of it, 4 years left of it, 3 years?
3 years, I think, Paul.
It does nothing to promote Scottish football. And when BT had it, Mark, you at least get the midweek games. Do you get me?
Yeah, Paul, just even the actual kind of effort that BT put into it, the build up, they hype the games up, and you know what I mean? You sit there and you watch that Sky. Sky's hyping up Norwich v Burnley, Super Sunday, and you're like, Jesus, wet man, that's some game. Do you know, but BT were working at that and hyping up the Scotland game, the Scottish games that way.
Because Mark, that Joonas was on about there, like a relegation battle between Dundee and St Johnstone, an important game.
Aye, an important game in the bigger picture of the Scottish League, and they just ignore it.
The coverage for BT was good, wasn't it? I think when they had them in the league final, they had the show on for 12 o'clock, right through to the game finished that day.
Aye, definitely, John. A different class, even like before the game and after it.
Like, it really has been a bad season. Like, it's the way modern football is. You don't know. Like, it's a prime example, Mark, of why I'm against this predicted goal thing. Like, St Johnstone were a team that did a double last season, and then this season was just a total collapse. Do you get me? Like,
I'm surprised that he kept his job. Paul, I said earlier in the season on the podcast, I thought he was in a shaky nail, but he seems to have kept on, so fair play to him.
I think
winning 2 cups will buy you a lot of credit, really.
Who will they have in the playoffs, Joonas?
Well, it's looking likely.
I think it's a pro for Inverness, isn't it?
Oh, aye, that's this week, so it's Tuesday, Friday this week, and then it's the winner at Arbroath, Inverness, who St Johnstone will be playing, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know, like, it has been a strange season for St Johnstone. It's like no one predicted. Like, seeing what they did last season, the double, like, I thought at least St Johnstone would be in the wrong mid-table. You know,
I think the fun thing's been a factor, eh?
Yeah, it's been one of the best seasons, I think, actually in a long, long time in the SPL. This season in particular has been a great season.
This shows you as well, Paul, when it comes to cup games like Europa League and that, any shite can win it.
Yeah. Roll on Frankfurt. Joonas, I think maybe next weekend, I think it'll be celebration weekend for us, but maybe going into the midweek next week, we'll do an end of season review of the whole season. if you would be up to
Yeah,
join.
certainly, lads. Yeah, a midweek. Yeah, like a couple of weeks' time, a review of the season. That'd be perfect. Yeah, I'd be up for that.
We review the season, Mark. We'll talk of the whole season as a whole. It's something Joonas we're actually planning in doing more regularly next season.
Well, we were trying to do it every month, but stuff going on personal lives and it didn't work out the way we wanted it to, wouldn't it, with the end of month shows and that kind of thing.
Once we have everything properly up and running, Joonas, it'll be.
And Mikey was meant to be coming on the night, but he's away playing Mario Kart or something like that, I think it was. He said Mario.
I'll go and let him get there.
Do you know what? Do you watch that, Joonas?
I've got it on in the background.
Oh,
I was watching the.
No get any
AC Milan
interest.
game on. I had the AC Milan game on, but that went to half time, so I turned the F1 on because I like the F1. Or the Mario Kart.
You and Mikey are a bit of petrol heads, aren't you? You like your motors and that.
I don't really like my cars. I just like my F1. I'm not big on cars, but I like the motor racing.
Oh God, I couldn't.
No, just imagine going to see.
Do you know what? It's not cheap. Joonas sitting down on a Sunday afternoon and he'd watch that, and I'm looking, going, "Oh my God, we gone that bad."
I mean, the price of going to watch that F1. No, you're saying, then what? And then a couple of minutes later, just that's all you're doing. Absolute nonsense.
They've helmet cams now and everything, like, so you can actually see.
I've got a helmet cam. I'll show you later, Paul. Once we get off here.
I'm not sure I want to see that. Like,
yeah, right, Mark, you're grand. I'll skip that. John will join us on Thursday night when it'll be hopefully party celebrations for Celtic, but we'd be happy with a 1-1 draw if that secures Joonas to Europe with Dundee United. Joonas, as always, thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much again for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Oh, no bother, Joonas, man. We appreciate it much more than you do, bud, honestly.
Mm-hmm. John will join us on Thursday. That he's figured out how to use Skpe on his new tablet. Mark, close the show, buddy.
Oh, just to you, usual, Paul. Thanks very much for every new day. Thanks for Joonas coming on. Mikey, John, there I'm getting mixed up already. John for eventually figuring out and getting on. But the shout just hello, can you hear me? I didn't know what was going on there. I'm like, who's this? I thought it was somebody shouting in the window.
There's something there. That's I did.
Everybody joined the live chat. I hope you enjoyed it. There's a few new people. I hope you enjoyed it and you come back the next time we're on that. If you remember, please hit the like button if you know how. Add a comment and please subscribe, share it about your chat, your social medias and that. Hail lads, good night and God bless. Thanks a lot.
Cheers lads.
Cheers Joonas, bud. Cheers John.
Yeah. Boys.
Right.